And welcome back to another episode of Too Much Podtar. As today is April 5th, and I'll be talking about this day in baseball history for another one of these. As we've been doing over the last few days, looking back on things that have happened. And today it's a pretty packed day. There's been a lot of big things that occurred on this day in history. So let's just, jump right into it. Last year, Tommy Pham of the Rays, he extended his on-base streak to 40 games, which is a Rays franchise record. He broke the record that Johnny Damon had set back in 2011 at 39. So that's a big moment for Pham, and it was It was a big year it ended up being a big year for the Rays, as they ended up going to, of course, the ALDS against the Astros, and took them to 5 games. They almost took them down, but yeah, they're a solid team. They have a lot of solid guys there, so we'll see if there's a season this year. They definitely should contend again this year. Could be probably be the toughest team for the Yankees in that division. Probably gonna fight with them all year, however long the season is. So yeah, but we'll see. And here's kind of an interesting one. Back in 2016, the Cubs and White Sox started the season 2-0 for the first time since 1951, which was, 1951 was 2 years before Ernie Banks came up with the Cubs in his rookie year. And yeah, it's crazy. First time that they both started out 2-0 in that season. And of course, for one of them, it was a really good season. Cubs winning their first World Series in over 100 years. So yeah, it was ended up being really good for them. White Sox, not so much, but yeah, obviously, Cubs fans were happy that year. So, and let's move to 2015. A big trade here between the Padres and Braves. That was when their Padres acquired closer Craig Kimbrell, along with Melvin Upton Jr., as they traded Carlos Quinton and Cameron Maybin to the Braves, along with their 41st overall draft pick. And Kimbrell that year, it wasn't his best year, but he still did pretty good. 39 saves and 87 strikeouts, or 59 in the third innings, and 61 appearances. It was, and it was only his only season there in San Diego. He ended up going to the Red Sox in 2016 and then was there for 3 years before then signed with the Cubs mid-season last year. So yeah, he's had a pretty good, solid career. He's been, last year he was kind of fell off a little bit, but I think he'll bounce back this year with, once you do get a season with enough reps, because I think last year just kind of didn't. It was kind of weird for him to get signed there that late and then have to get adjusted again. Which honestly, this year might be the same thing though, because it's gonna be hard for anybody though, really, because they have to adjust to starting the season way later than usual. So definitely be tough, but yeah, that was a pretty big trade though for the Padres, and now didn't really see much there. It didn't really affect anything moving forward. It's kind of a even trade, I think, because it's not neither team really saw anything from any of those guys, because Maybin, he's been moving around a lot. So yeah, there's just not. They didn't really give much to the teams that they were traded to at I mean, obviously, because Kimberly was only there for one season. Had to. It didn't really. You can't really say that they won the trade when he was probably obviously the biggest piece, but he was only there for 1 year, so it's not really much to say to grade the trade or whatever, or say one team won. So yeah, it's not really anything you could say, any more I can say about it. But yeah, the Cubs, and then also the Cubs picked with that 41st overall pick, they Austin Riley, and he was a big prospect now for them, and he's probably going to be up for the team this year to play third base or the outfield or whatever. But yeah, definitely I mean, obviously not. Yeah, he might play third, but now with Donaldson gone, so. But that's probably the most notable thing of the trade was him. He was the 41st overall pick, which they ended up going to pick Riley with it. So yeah, it's definitely couldn't end up saying that the Braves really won the trade at the end of the day. If he ends up turning out the way everybody's hoping he does, so we'll see. Because at this point, it's not really it's kind of a even trade because Kimbrel and Upton Jr. didn't do much with the Padres. Kimbrel was there for just that one season, as I said. And Upton, I believe, was only there for that season too, if I'm not mistaken. But it's definitely kind of at this point, even until we see what happens with Austin Riley. If Austin Riley turns out, it could be pretty turn the other way. Yeah, and he was actually Melvin Upton. He was there 2 years, so really kind of a year because he only played 87 games 2015, and then 2016 he played 92 with the Padres before he was then traded to the Blue Jays. So it was kind of it's basically a year when he put it together. So yeah, it wasn't much. Yeah, but anyway, let's go now to 2013 as a guy that just he was so good. He was so good. Chris Davis. Chris Davis with a C. The Orioles Chris Davis, not Chris Davis with a K, not 247 Chris Davis. Chris Davis, the guy that used to be an absolute stud for the Orioles, and just kind of, I don't know what happened to him. It fell off the face of the earth, but yeah, back in 2013, he became the fourth player in Major League history to homer in his first 4 games of the season, as he had a grand slam and 5 RBIs in that game, and he joined Willie Mays in 1971, Mark McGwire in 1998, and Nelson Cruz, Boomstick Nelly, in 2011, as the only other players to hit a home run in the first 4 games of the season. And then 3 years later after that, the Orioles made the mistake of signing Chris Davis to that long contract, which is now going to be still going to be there until 2023 for them. So yeah, it's gonna be on the books for a while now. Yeah, it just faded off the face of the earth. He just fell off a cliff. He was so good. Yeah, definitely a big moment there, as you heard there in the background. The Orioles fans giving him a loud ovation with that grand slam. And he also, I'm just seeing here too that he also broke the RBI mark for the same span. He drove in 16 runs in the 4 games, and that was 4 more than the previous record, which was shared by 3 players. So that was definitely a big moment, and that was when he was really solid. He was a solid player. And then obviously we all know last year what happened when he had that no-hit streak, like the not getting a hit streak, which was, I don't even remember, but it carried over from 2018 to last year, and it was definitely not It's definitely crazy that he just kind of just fell right off. He's another kind of what if, as we talked about, like some of these what ifs. He's a what if. What happens if he didn't all of a sudden just, I don't know, whatever happened to him. But anyway, the go back here to 2012. It was the longest opening day game in Major League history, as it was a 16 inning game between the Indians and the Blue Jays, which the Blue Jays won 7-4 on a JP Aaron Sebia 3-run home run in the 16th inning, which they ended up closing out. It was as it was at Progressive Field, and that game surpassed the previous records of two 15-inning games between Cleveland and Detroit in 1960 and Philadelphia and Washington in 1926. So that was a record that was held for a long time, and probably gonna not see it broken for a while again. It's just, especially now, some of the things now games don't go as long. You don't see 16 inning games really anymore, especially as they're trying to get these pace of play rules in there. They as they did in the minors, they started to try out in the minor leagues to having in extra innings having a runner at second base. So it's easier to score in the extra innings, which I completely hate. I despise that. I hope it's never going to happen in major leagues, but knowing Rob Manfred, it probably will, which I hate so much. I know it's fair for both teams because there's a guy at second for both teams, but it's not baseball. Just giving a team a runner, obviously you're giving both teams it, but you're kind of taking away from what the game is. The game is not just like the game. I love long games. I love 4-inning games. I don't give a crap. Like, real fans want a longer game, especially when you're at the stadium. You want to stay at the stadium as long as you possibly can. You paid whatever amount of money for that ticket, and you want to be there as long as possible. It doesn't matter. Like, you're there for that reason. So I don't care how long the game is. Like, really, just I can go on a whole tangent about Ron Manfred, but I'm not going to any longer because I just get my blood boils over him because I just can't stand it. Some of these things that he tries to throw out there, they're just so dumb beyond belief. Just I can't understand what the hell goes through his mind. He doesn't like baseball. Apparently, people who are like baseball, they don't. We all know baseball does not need to change. Baseball itself does not need to change. It's the marketing. The marketing, as we talked about on this show before, they don't market their players. And now don't go and say, "Oh, well, Mike Trout doesn't want to be. He's not a marketable. He doesn't want to be out there. He doesn't want to be out in the front and center." But okay, and he's not the only player that's marketable in this game. So you can go and pick other players. You can easily market other players like Tim Anderson, for example, the one who was in the whole bat flip last year. They said, all this thing about let the kids play. And then he goes and he just flips the bat in celebration of a home run. He didn't even really flip it. He kind of just tossed it towards his own dugout. That's the thing that gets me. He tossed it out towards his own dugout. Then he gets, the pitcher gets pissed off because whatever reason, because he just tossed his bat and he hits him. And I'm not going to continue anymore. We all know where this goes. We all know how I feel about this. I know how other people feel about it. We all feel the same pretty much because we all know that this game that we love does not need to be changed. It's the marketing. The marketing. NFL does it fine. NBA does it. NHL not as much, but more than baseball. So get with the program, baseball. MLB, Rob Manfred. Get with the program and realize that it's not the game itself that needs to be changed. All these rules changing. You don't need to make a game 2.5 hours long. Football, NFL, their games are like over 3 hours long. That doesn't, nobody said anything about that, so that's not the problem. That is not the problem. The length of a game is not the problem. The pace of play is not the problem. Anyway, I'm not going to go on any farther. that's just kind of my tangent on just the game of baseball itself that I can't understand it. But before my blood boils any farther, um, uh, back in 2010, the Red Sox agreed to a contract with Josh Beckett for a 4-year extension as they kept him there. He was their opening day starter along with recently acquiring John Lackey, so they had a pretty good, pretty decent 1-2 punch there that year. And Josh Beckett was solid there for a while. He was one of the best pitchers in the game. And let's see here. That year, and as a Yankees fan, I always obviously because he's a Red Sox, I hated him. But 2010, he actually wasn't too great. He only went 6-6, 5.78 ERA, 21 games started. But then in 2011, he did do a little bit better. He went 13-7, 2.89 ERA, 175 strikeouts, and 3.57 FIP. And made the All-Star team. So, no, he was pretty solid for those years. Like besides 2010, he wasn't too great, but other than that, he was not bad. Then obviously he was traded from the Red Sox to the Dodgers in midway point of 2012, which that's when he kind of started. He did start to fall off then, but before that he was definitely really good. Like from pretty much from 2005 to 2011. 2005 to 2011, minus 2010, he was definitely a really solid pitcher, and he had 20 wins in 2007. But after that contract, he kind of had one good year, he did just have one good year after that. Really, after he signed that extension, he only had like pretty much one more good year for the Red Sox before going over to the Dodgers. But it was kind of at the end of his career. He was 33 at that point, so it wasn't much to expect. But then also that same day, in 2010, Jason Hayward became the 11th Braves player in franchise history in a home run in his first major league at bat. As at 20 years old, he hit the home run and then took in chance of "Let's Go Hayward," and here's the video on it as he hit the home run off Carlos Zambrano of the Cubs. That's another guy that just remember him. He was solid. Like I remember he was awesome. I just love he just kind of fell off though too. And now I think if I remember correctly, he's in some kind of other league. I forget what league, but he's trying to make a comeback. I know that. I think he was in minor league somewhere. I forget though. But I'll have to ask Joey where he is because I know he was trying to. Yeah, we were talking about it last year.
Swing and drive, belted right. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, so that was that was an awesome moment for the Braves, and it was definitely really awesome to see it happen in Atlanta. And the call by the announcer who was welcome to the show. That's this emphatic call that was awesome too. So, and it was he was the it was actually it was the 100th overall player to hit a home run in his first at bat. And now it's past that now because I know at least two others. Aaron Judge, Tyler Austin in 2017 back-to-back, the first players to hit back-to-back home runs in the first at-bats, which the game I was at, actually. It was awesome to see that live. And now, yeah, that was, I know it's at least 102 now with those two. I'm not sure exactly if there's any others, but I know those two for sure. And back a few years before that, 2005, the Royals became the first team since 1901 to overcome a ninth-inning deficit of 4 runs on opening day as they rallied to beat the White Sox at Kauffman Stadium, beating them 9-7. As Carlos Beltran hit the walk-off with a two-run walk-off home run. As they had 6 runs in that final inning, and it was definitely cool to see. Definitely it's a big thing. The first time since 1901 to overcome 4-run deficit on opening day.
Beltran at the plate with a count 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Damaso Marte brings it home. High drive, left center and deep. Back goes Lee to the wall. Gone. The Royals win it.
Yeah, so that was a cool moment, and that was when obviously Beltran was pretty young at that time. As he was just, at the time, he was only 27. He was in his 7th season in the major leagues. So, yeah, still pretty young, and now he's gone on. He's kind of in a bad light now because of the whole Astros cheating scandal. You know, his career, he had a really good career as he went on to play after the Royals, playing for Houston for half a season, and then going to the Mets for all those years from 2005 to 2010, 2011. 2000. Well, and then traded over to the Giants, and then he was with the Cardinals for 2 years, Yankees for 2.5, and then Rangers, and then obviously 2017 with the Astros, and he had such a good career and he just ruined it. I don't know what with that whole cheating scandal. Now it's going to be a question when he comes up for Hall of Fame voting. He's going to be, his legacy is tainted for sure. I don't really want to talk about that anymore because just thinking about it, it's just, oh my God, it's another thing that gets me my blood boiling. So with that whole Astros shit, and that same year, it was when the Nationals had their inaugural season. As they played as the Expos in Montreal for 36 years before that. Now the Nationals, as they became the first team since the Senators left in 1971, first team to be in Washington since then. So, yeah, now 15 years later, they won the 14 years later, they won the World Series. Obviously, last year, first time a team in Washington won the World Series. So, and also another Royals won in 2003. The Royals became the first major league team to begin the season 5-0 after losing 100 games the year before. That was crazy to see a team do that. And let's see, it was 2003, so I don't know. I don't know if there's been any after that. I think there might have been. I think those darn Astros might have been one of them. And I don't know if I know they were good after losing 100 games, but I don't know if they won 5-0 after. So I don't know, but yeah, that was still pretty crazy for you to start 5-0 after losing 100 games the year before, and then the Royals that year. They ended up finishing actually third in the AL Central though, at 83 and 79. So they started off so hot, but then just ultimately didn't get as they still, obviously still winning 83 games after losing 100 the year before was still pretty good though. So that's definitely good. In 1998, the Diamondbacks became a franchise, and they won their first game after losing the first 5 of the season, as they won 3-2 over the 49ers. Sorry, that's from over the Giants, San Francisco Giants, not 49ers. Anyway, yeah, that's. I don't know why I was thinking football there. I guess I'm just getting all my sports mixed up since we're without sports. I'm just thinking about everything at the same time. Then in 1997, the Rockies set a franchise record of home runs with 7 home runs in that game. It was at actually Olympic Stadium, and 3 of them were by new Hall of Fame inductee Larry Walker. And they won 15-1, as Don Baylor actually pulled Larry Walker in the 8th inning because he didn't want to run the score up against the Expos. So, which you don't really see anymore. I mean, not anymore. We don't see it all in the majors. You don't really see people just holding back. You just play. It's not like Little League or whatever. Obviously, Little League, if it would have been a 10-run roll. So, but it's not like whatever. Anything else? And then back to 1993, Maddux made his Braves debut, as he ended up winning the Cy Young that year with the Braves, and that game was actually against his former team, the Cubs, as he beat them in 1-0 and allowed no runs, only 5 hits in over 8 1/3 innings. In that season, as the Braves signed him to a contract, and he won 20 games, 2.36 ERA, 8 complete games, 197 strikeouts, or over 267 innings. So, and a lot of those categories led the league in. It was definitely a really solid year. Obviously, good contract for the Braves to sign such a good pitcher. And of course, and then 1997, he won a World Series with them, or 1995. 1997. Yeah, 1995, they won the World Series. And also that same year, the Rockies made their debut as a team, which ended up losing 3-0 against Dwight Gooden and the Mets, getting 4-hit complete game shutout from Dwight Gooden, and Andres Galarraga had the first hit for the Rockies in the franchise history. And now the Rockies have been only to one World Series, as they were there in 2007 against the Red Sox, losing to them. And that's the only time that they've been to the World Series in their, now 17, 20. Oh, yeah, I'm getting the years mixed up. 27-year existence. And then go back to 1979, Earl Weaver, the legendary Oriole manager, picked up his 1,000th career victory as they beat Chicago 5-3 on opening day at Memorial Stadium, as he finished his 17-year managerial career there that year with the Orioles, and finished with a 1,480 and 1,069 record, which was good for a 583 win percentage. And of course, he's also known for his tirades, his getting upset at managers. I mean, not managers, getting upset at umpires. And then he got inducted to the Hall of Fame in 1996. He won one World Series in 1970, 4 pennants. But speaking of the tirades, he was one of his most legendary one against Bill Haller, the umpire, in a game in 1980.
Behind the rubber. Behind the rubber. bullshit. Bullshit yourself. You're here, and this crew is here just to fuck us. Yeah.
You're out of here.
That's great. And you shit.
You shit.
You run yourself, Earl. You run yourself. Finger off.
Get your finger off.
Because you put your finger on me. I'm glad you did. That's right. You're here for one goddamn specific reason. What's that, Earl? To fuck us.
Fuck us.
Full of shit. For years, fuck you. Goddamn years and years. And don't you ever put your finger on me again. You hit me, Earl. You put your finger on me. That's okay. If you touch me, I didn't. You ain't gonna knock nobody on their ass. You do it again, and I'll knock you right in your nose. I didn't touch you. You pushed your finger. I did not. No, you're lying. Goddamn it. You're lying. No, you are. You are lying. You're a big liar. You are a liar, Earl. You are a liar. You are. I'll tell you something. You're here for one reason, to fuck us good. Wrong. That's the only reason you're wrong, Earl. And you'll have your chance tomorrow. You're done it as quick as you can. What is wrong with you? You ain't no good. No, you aren't either. Yeah, you ain't no good. You're no fucking good either. Yeah, your ass will never have our games. I hope. What do I care? Yeah, what do I care? What are you doing here now? Well, why don't you call the league office and ask them? Yeah, I will. Oh, good. Don't think I won't. Good. And the quicker you get on, it'll be better too. Yeah, that's right. You ain't going nowhere. You aren't either. About 5, 10 fucking years from now, who's in the Hall of Fame? Oh, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame. You know it. Why? You know it. Up World Series? You know it. You're going to be in the Hall of Fame? You know it. I've won more than I've lost, kid. I know you haven't. Games, count games. You don't even know nothing. You better get going, Earl. Oh, I better get going. You better get going. What the hell are you doing? That you had your hands on me. No, that's wrong, Earl. Wrong.
So he,
I can't hear you. What did he do wrong? He stopped. He's motioning. He's throwing the ball.
just an unbelievable argument. He was nuts, but that's just hilarious to listen to all of his tangents, all of his rants. You're here for one reason only: to fuck us all. He was unreal. Like it's so awesome. And then 1972, there's a couple things here. As the Expos traded Rusty Staub, as he was actually stunned by the transaction. He was traded to the Mets for Ken Singleton, who was the most notable piece of that trade, and also Tim Foley and Mike Jorgensen. And Staub actually ended up missing most of the season because of injuries, but ended up playing a major role in the Mets' pennant-winning year of 1973. So yeah, it was a pretty good trade, both sides really. And also 1972, the season opening game between the Astros and the Reds was canceled because of a player strike, which started on April 1st. And it was the first time in history that the opening day was canceled. And then they ended up not playing a total of 86 games that season. And we go way back to 1925. It's a little of a crazy one here. It's about Babe Ruth, but he collapsed at a railroad station in Asheville, North Carolina, and ended up being dubbed by a writer the bellyache heard around the world, as they suggested that a hot dog and soda binge caused the illness, and it kept Ruth out of the Yankees lineup until May, as it required hospitalization and an operation. So yeah, the Babe was always known for whatever, eating too much, drinking too much. That said it was just hot dogs and soda, but you never know. It could have been something else. He could have been drinking a lot of alcohol, whatever, beers. So because he was kind of an alcoholic. Obviously, a lot of guys were back then, though. Just kind of went on binges. And then back to 1913, the Dodgers played the first game in Ebbets Field as they beat the Yankees 3-2. And Casey Stengel hit the first home run in the park, which was actually an inside the park home run. So yeah, that was interesting. There's a lot of stuff that happened on this day. That's April 4th, April 5th. I mean, I don't know what day it is anymore. Do you? I don't think so. I don't know anymore. But that was it for that day in baseball history. As obviously, as we said, we're going to be continuing this series for a while. We don't know when we're going to get baseball back. So, looking back on history, a lot of stuff we can look back at a lot of stuff for baseball. Baseball is the one sport that has so much history to look back on. And I know I'm not going to be the only guy. I'm not going to be solo every episode, but sometimes I can't get other guys to come on. They have other stuff to do. They have other obligations. So, I want to do an episode every day for this. So I just decided to come on solo if I can't get anybody else to come on. But that was it for this episode. And make sure you follow me at Alex Kielar on Twitter. Make sure you follow Scorecrow, and we get more articles out, like what if articles that Johnny started with his what if 1994 season never got canceled. And then also we've been doing a lot of other stuff, kind of on the Scorecrow in general, just of like other stuff that we were doing is obviously NFL draft stuff, is that's not going to be canceled, and draft prospect player profiles, and we gotta be creative here. There's a lot of we can create a lot of we can come up with a lot of different things as sports aren't happening. Like, we're just gonna have to be creative, as we all miss sports. We all do. So look back in history, like we've been doing. Create some what if scenarios. There's a lot of things. But anyway, yeah, that's it for today. We'll be back again tomorrow with another episode. And just a reminder, you can never have too much pod tar. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay indoors.